I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so my first question was, what year did you participate in the VAST program?
So I was VAS from all through my junior year, which I'm pretty sure was like 2021 to 2022. And then I did VES my senior year. And then I came back this past summer and I worked with the Space Coast Scholars for a couple
Wow, that's
weeks.
impressive. So for the VAST one specifically, which team were you a part of during that summer academy?
So for that summer academy, I was the safety analyst for the human factors team.
Can you expand on what that team's purpose was and what y'all did for the mission?
Yep, so the human factors team was mostly focused on protection for the crewed mission, like all of the crew. So it mostly focused actually on the surface of Mars. So we had to look at all of our systems. We had to do food, psychology, um, what we'd mine if we were going for like fuel or we were trying to mine for oxygen or hydrogen. And then we also looked at radiation protection with the base. I think systems integration chose the spot on Mars, but we had to figure out like what was there so we could figure out what resources we could use as well as what type of base we should do, what the base layout should look like. So it was a lot of stuff combined into one team.
Why did you choose to do human factors? Like, what interested you in doing that one specifically?
So human factors was my first choice. I decided on that one because when I was writing the papers during all of the sort of like online classes, I found it really easy to talk about protective measures, especially when it came to like protecting from radiation, being able to tell the public about radiation protection as well as like what type of measures we would do. And I liked talking about all the different aspects of sort of what issues the astronauts could run into, whether it was oxygen resources, what we should on the surface, how we should mine stuff, as well as like sort of in situ like resource gathering and stuff like that. So it was mostly the my experience in the online courses that made me realize that I wanted to do human factors.
Regarding the online courses, how do you think, what was what helped you most get through those? Because I remember when I did it, they were kind of stressful. So, what do you think was the best thing
They
that you would give advice to students?
The best thing since I actually got to work a lot with master teachers over the summer, and they loved when students wanted improvement. If you got points off some like one of your papers or something, they loved when you would go to their office hours and ask more information. And usually if you followed their advice or if you ever like met with them or emailed them, they were very willing to try and help you. They loved meeting their students that they had online in person. I remember they actually were able to recognize a lot of their names and faces on the first day just because those were people that emailed with them a lot, communicated with them, and it gave them sort of a connection to the students. And they want you to succeed because they want to see you at that academy. So I definitely think making a connection with your master teacher as well as taking what you did wrong on the first step and then trying to correct it in the second step by using your master teacher as a resource.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And then back to the Vast Summer Academy. So you were on the Human Factors team, and what was your role again?
I was the safety analyst.
Safety analyst. So, what were your responsibilities and daily tasks kind of involved with the being that role?
So, as the safety analyst, I was in charge of all of the protection specialists underneath me. So, it was the food specialist as well as psychology, all the E-class people, all of the radiation protection. So I was sort of like, I would report about what the specialists were doing to the program manager and the assistant. They're called different things in different academies, but whoever like the project specialist and then the second one.
Yeah. And then after the Vast Academy, what specifically do you think you learned during that experience going to the academy and not only the summer academy but also during the online course?
So, what I've actually learned, a lot of the online course you learn about the orbital mechanics, the different layers of the atmosphere. In VEST, they go a lot into just sort of the Earth's energy system in general. So that actually comes out like a lot in my college courses. The other day, we learned about the different layers of the atmosphere, and that's exactly what we learned about in VEST. And then we've also learned about orbital mechanics, which you get an introduction to that in VAST as well. So you do get bits and pieces. They do actually teach you real stuff that you will need to know. And sort of like having a intro to that early on makes it a lot easier to understand. Like when you go really in depth into it, it helps you build a broader understanding of what you're learning.
Yeah, that's really cool how it integrates into your college life now.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then not only like what you learned, but like what skills do you think that you like learned or gained or were able to improve on from these academies?
Definitely networking is a huge thing, especially being at Langley Research Center and being with all of these people at the lunchroom. It's a great place to network. It's a great introduction to it as you're in high school, so they aren't really expecting you to know how to network. But definitely the networking skills, also a lot of the teamwork and the sense of working as a team or working with other teams, especially when there's a hard deadline because there are a lot of project-based courses in college. There's also a lot of project-based things in the industry where you do have these set time constraints, these set mass and budget constraints. So definitely getting an introduction to working as a team, team building, as well as just learning how to network and how to navigate the field on your own,
Yeah.
especially as someone who's coming in and kind of looking for a mentor, that was very helpful.
Yeah, I remember those lunchrooms. That was like my first time ever being able to talk to professionals, and it was really interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the main parts I loved about being at Langley was just being so close to all these people who have an integral part in these missions that you're hearing about online.
Yeah. And then so like kind of piggybacking off of that, what do you think the best part of VAST was for you? Like, what was the best thing?
I think the best team was definitely dynamics. I still talk to my best team. We actually were talking because NASA had actually implemented one of their they were using a sort of moth. I think it was a fungus that would absorb radiation, which is what we were looking into. And we actually, someone sent that in their group chat and kind of like reactivated the group chat a little bit. Still, lots of team dynamics with VAS or with VES as well, just because a couple of the people that I interned with this summer, I also knew from before. So it's really great to kind of make these connections with people and it never really goes away.
Where did you intern this summer?
So it was with the Virginia Space Grant Consortium. It
Oh
was
yeah.
so a couple of people, one person on my VEST team and then another on a VAST team that was in the same cohort as me, like the same week, just a different team. So it was great getting to see them again and also seeing like where they've come.
Yeah. I know I'm still connected to one of my VAST teammates. It's really
Yeah, definitely that. And then one of my interns for Vass was actually a student at Ocean Lakes. She was one of the
cool.
ones who she actually gave me a presentation that introduced me to the program. So it was cool how all of that kind of comes like full circle.
Yeah. Okay. And then what do you think the like worst part of VAST was for you? Like,
I look back on it fondly, but definitely like the late nights. Definitely, I remember creating the like budget proposal at like 1 in the morning. It was, and that was definitely bad. I know also the Zoom calls. I don't know if you guys did Zoom this year, but they had us, we weren't allowed to meet during COVID. So all of our meetings were like over Zoom in our prospective dorm rooms, and those meetings would go on till like 12 a.m., 1 a.m. So definitely just like how hard it was in the moment, but looking back, that was definitely, it wasn't really that bad. It was also a really fun like team bonding experience.
yeah, I was the budget analyst for my team, and I remember doing those
Yeah.
spreadsheets late at night. And I was on mission transit, and like when we first came in, all the interns were like, "Be ready, y'all pull the all-nighters," and it kind
Yeah,
of
definitely. The budget people have their work cut out for them.
yeah. And then you did your academy during COVID.
It was the year right after COVID, so it was like we still had to wear masks everywhere, but it wasn't completely online. I know the year before us was completely online, but we were just a transitioning.
Yeah. What do you think, like, what was affected? Like, what do you think was different because you did it, like, kind of near around the COVID time? What do you think was different?
So I think what was different was probably maybe our tours and a little bit of just like the interactions with different people at the facility, just because some of our tours, like they had to be mostly outside, and so we didn't do that many indoor parts. And then also there weren't as many people in the lunchroom. They had like capacity, like caps for certain people. So definitely that was one of the big things was just being at the center and navigating all of the federal laws during that time.
Yeah. Okay, so you're at the University of Michigan, right?
Yes.
So what is your major there? Like,
So I'm majoring in aerospace engineering with a minor in material science.
okay. And like, what would you say an average day looks like for you there in your major?
Yep, so in my major, I usually have I have a few classes, and one of my classes is just an introduction to aerospace science. So it's a lot of just learning about how planes fly, how lift works, a lot of chemistry and fluid dynamics that goes into it. And then my other aerospace class is Intro to Aerospace Enterprise. We have a lot of speakers that come in. We just had a space law professor come in, and then the director of the Air Force Research Lab came in and also spoke to us. So a lot of that is just getting an introduction to the field, the introduction to where different jobs we could have, whether we want to do defense or civil or maybe commercial. And then I have a couple intro classes, physics, calculus, and then outside of class, I'm a part of a project team. We're a rocketry team, so we're working on building. I think we're supposed to have an apogee of like 60,000 feet. We're supposed to be building the first bipropellant rocket, liquid rocket that by a project team is supposed to go the highest it's ever gone. And then I also do a little bit of research on the side with the nuclear engineering department. So we're currently working on creating a 3D printed quadcopter for use for emergency like radiological surveying. So I do a lot of like element analysis as well as like CAD and different sort of programs and 3D printing, of course, to kind of design and build it.
Yeah. I used CAD in one of my classes. It was really fun. So like, what do you want to do in your future, like after college? Like, what are your plans for after college? What do you hope to do?
Yep, so I have most of my interest in aerostructures research. So a lot of, I know Langley's science department is currently working on how to design an airplane that can go over Mach 1 as well as not sort of be the loud booms. I know the Concorde was able to only go over water because of the sonic boom that would occur. So a lot of interest in like hypersonic commercial flight, and I'm also interested in sustainability. So a lot of like electric propulsion, like different sort of propulsion systems and like CO2 emissions. So definitely that sort of like sustainable aviation area.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, another question I had was, is there anything you learned at Bass that like impacts you today in college? Like, I know you talked about orbital mechanics earlier, how you learned stuff
Mhm.
from your other programs and you're doing it in college now, but is there anything else that you think you learned at Bass that impacts you now?
A lot of the teamwork stuff, definitely, just because a lot of my sort of classes that are project based are very much you get put in teams and then you have to complete a project by like a certain time constraint. So that definitely was a good introduction. I use like the teamwork skills I build up from that from VAS a lot. And also just the technical stuff, like getting an introduction to like the broad area of NASA, especially when it came to I forget what they're called, but the sort of spin-off technologies that came from it, as well as just learning a little bit of how NASA operates with sort of missions and mission integration and how you should really think about stuff. So a lot of that comes up in classes like Aerospace Enterprise, where we learn a lot about delve deep into like what NASA does, what these different companies do, how they work with the government. So it's a good introduction to like what that field is actually like, what it's like inside of a research center, the tours of the facilities differently. So a very good broad understanding of aerospace engineering before you really go into the specifics.
So, and then also, do you think that your participation in the Vast Academy was beneficial for you and your future?
I definitely think it was beneficial to me because it was such a unique opportunity to go through those programs that, especially applying to any research positions or getting involved in any sort of opportunities related to that field, recruiters and professors are really interested in that sort of experience just because not a lot of people get that. Especially, I didn't really realize till I moved away, but Virginia Beach is such a unique aerospace like sort of hub. You have Oceana air shows, you have Wallops Flight Facility right there, as well as all the research centers. DC is also right there, so it was a really great sort of combination of everything that I definitely was lucky to have growing up.
Yeah, the air show just happened here like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then, would you recommend that students apply for the VAST program now, like this year?
So I definitely do recommend that students apply for the VAST program. You also don't have to be interested in aerospace engineering. There's a lot of stuff with mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, just project management in general is really important. I also know a couple people who are now pre-med who are going through the program, and they worked a lot on the psychology of the astronauts, as well as just the physics of space and all of the health kind of complications. So this is just a unique opportunity to get an experience with these professionals, and also there's little niches that you can explore your own field in, especially when it comes to the psychology and the human factors if you're pre-med, or the electrical part if you're ever going through the power systems, mechanical part if you're interested in the rockets and the orbital mechanics, just everything sort of, you can find your own sort of technical experience in this overall program.
Yeah, I remember when I was at the VAST Academy, people would like talk about what they wanted to do, and like there was a very broad range of things. Like not everyone was aerospace. Like there's mechanical, there's pre-med, there's like
There are a lot of broad things, which I really wasn't expecting going in, but I'm really glad that I got that experience because it opened my eyes to how helpful these programs are to everyone.
yeah. And then, do you have any like tips or advice for people when deciding to do the program?
So, for tips or advice, I definitely think try the program out. You don't have to just be like, oh, I'm not aerospace, like I shouldn't do that. But it's an opportunity for you to grow, to learn in your technical skills, to learn in your teamwork skills, networking, communication. I think you shouldn't just shut this program out just because you aren't really interested in aerospace, because there's a lot of opportunities for you. And people love to see these programs. They're so unique and so special to the students who are lucky enough to be able to live near them. So I definitely think it's an opportunity for everyone, and everyone should be open to at least applying or doing the online course.
Yeah. Do you have any like advice for them during the application process? Like, do you remember what your application process was like?
So during the application process, I definitely think I've been told that shorter is better as long as you don't drag things out a lot. They really just want to see your true interest in the program. They don't need to see like a very long paragraph or lots of experience. You just have to come in with a passion for something and then just connect that passion to what you want to learn from the program.
Okay. And then do you have any advice during like the online portion? Because I remember that was pretty stressful for me getting those technical reports.
Yes, the online portion is definitely really stressful. I would say don't procrastinate. I think I started every single one of mine either on Saturday or Sunday,
I did the
right when it
same.
was due. And it was really stressful trying to get everything done. I kind of like pushed off all their schoolwork. But if you really like sort it out into increments, it is not as hard as it needs to be.
Yeah, I'm a really bad procrastinator and I would always save it for the weekend. One time I even had to turn one in late and I was really stressed about it, but it
Yeah,
ended
turning it
well.
in, it just like knocks off so many points. I remember
Yeah.
I accidentally like I forgot to hit submit and I woke up the next day and it was like a day late and I was like, oh, like that lost like a lot of credit.
Yeah, mine were a few hours late and I was really scared I wouldn't get into the summer program because of that. But like now looking back, I'm like, don't stress about the like getting in the summer program. Just like stay in the moment and get those technical reports done.
Yeah, that's definitely a good sort of tip to have because even if you get points off, that doesn't mean that you're automatically going to be rejected from the summer program. And even if you are like completely rejected from the summer program, the online course is such like a helpful tool to learn how to
Yeah.
increase your technical communication skills that it's still a valuable asset.
Yeah, definitely. And then do you have any advice that you would give students during the summer academy specifically?
During the summer academy, it's stay like at least try and have a little bit of fun. I know I was so stressed and worried about making sure that all of our proposals were due like on time, as well as making sure everything was approved, that I really feel like I could have enjoyed the tours a little bit more and taken advantage more of the opportunity of just being there in the first place. Just because it is a really stressful time trying to get everything done, trying to communicate with other teams, trying to sort out errors or different sort of logistical issues. So I definitely think enjoy the tours while you can, and then just try and do the work during the scheduled work time.
Yeah, I remember during my tours, all I could think about was just like getting my proposals and getting the budgets done. It was
Yeah.
like very stressful. Yeah. And do you have any other like thoughts or anything else you'd like to say?
Just for like in general, just going through these programs is definitely it's broadened my perspective of the different sort of majors that combine in the aerospace, as well as just deepen sort of my passion for it in general, just because this was my first introduction to aerospace kind of. And I feel like that definitely was the perfect way in high school to get more involved, especially just having both the online course and being able to go to the academies. I definitely think this is a great opportunity and definitely just try and understand how important, like how unique and important these can be to your career in the future and really try and utilize what you have available.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool. I think that's all I had. So thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
It was really insightful to see what you thought and your advice. And I wish you luck in Michigan and with your major.
Thank you. I wish you luck when I know senior year is definitely tough, especially with senior project and Common App and everything, but I wish you the best. And I hope to see any sort of update about your project later if you want to.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, of course.